Hello and welcome to GPTV on Tuesday the 24th of September. My name is Philip Kingston.
And I'm Gary
Gary,
Peer.
the most important week of the year in Melbourne, if not Australia, possibly the world. But here we are, grand final week. Did you tip at the start of the season that it would be a Swans Brisbane interstate grand final at the MCG?
I was pretty close. I thought it would be Carlton Collingwood. So, it's sort of same sort of thing, isn't it, really?
You almost nailed it.
I almost nailed it just there. It's about as good as my punting prowess, Philip. Look, got to say that been an exciting series, hasn't it? I mean, the
finals
lead-up
have been as good as they could possibly
except
be.
for Carlton Brisbane, which we got pounded. So on that side, I'd like Brisbane to win to frank Carlton's, being at second best
to validate your loss.
Well, that's it. I could say, well, what?
Only a Carlton supporter would actually look for validation in the loss.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is
it's like coming second.
That is pathetic multiplied.
It's like coming second. You say, well, the team that beat us won the grand final. That's how good they were. So we only lost to the grand final team.
Yeah.
So
you're
Sydney
seeking validation on Saturday.
Seeking some validation on Saturday. In fact, I'm going on Saturday.
Yes,
I've only ever been to one grand final in my life.
I know. Do you know how I know you're going?
I know how you know you're going because you give me your ticket.
Because I said thanks very much, but my partner will probably go.
Yeah.
And of course, ever reliable Mr. Sociable. Ever reliable Mr. Sociable. And it's not an insult, it's a compliment.
Yeah.
You would go to this is the Viennese side of you, viewers. For those of you that know anybody from Austria, this is what happens. Austrians go to the opening of an envelope. So if you're thinking about opening an envelope and you've got some Viennese friends, just ring them up and say, we're having a drinks where we're going to open the envelopes from the mail that we just got. You'll go.
So just explain all that to me. I'm a bit lost with the whole envelope thing. What's going on?
Because people that are ultimate socialisers, there's the joke. Oh, you'd go to the opening of an envelope.
Oh, right. Now I get it. Oh, yeah, we go to opening. We go to anything. Yeah, absolutely. We like the celebration. We like the opera. We like the ballet. We like all of those things. We like sporting events. Anything basically to take us out of the home, Phil.
Correct.
We'll do it.
Correct. And for viewers, if you'd like a little bit of a window into his DNA, his parents, bless their hearts, because they were super, super people. But going back to our early days as late teens, early 20-somethings, in our young, free, carefree, single days, we would used to go out. True stories. We used to go out till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. We would come home and his mother would be sitting in the kitchen, not having a cup of chamomile tea, but she would be in the kitchen having a coffee.
Yeah, I'd have a coffee with her.
And we'd come home. I would be completely exhausted. I'd go straight to bed because we had to get up early because we had a side hustle of a market gig. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, we did.
But Edith, she used to say, Galileo, a game of Scrabble, of which Gary, without even thinking, would say, of course, Mum.
I'm up for it.
But not only at 4 o'clock was she drinking coffee and smoking, playing Scrabble, but they wouldn't have one game of Scrabble, they'd have two.
Well, we were both very competitive with each other, so one of us had to win the second game, it was like that.
With the greatest of respect.
Yeah.
The craziest, stupid family ever.
Well, the Peers are
and I mean that as a compliment.
I know. Well, the Peers are known for late night, and I think that's been the DNA of our business. We are open 24 hours.
Correct.
I'm still a late night person. You're an early person. So when I go to bed, you wake up.
I'm getting up.
And when you go to bed,
the phones are manned 24/7.
We never close. Simple as that. That's the reality. This company never closes.
That's the DNA.
That's the key to our success, if there is such thing.
We got to that because you're going to the grand final. We started
on your
with the
ticket,
Swans and Brisbane. Carlton, we've done all of that.
Yeah, the opening of an envelope. I like that.
So Melbourne, enjoy this week because it is a great week. And the grand final, it is probably, is it the AFL grand final or the Melbourne Cup? Which is the best of the two, or do you not even bother to say which is the best of the two? We've just got two of the best carnivals in the world.
Well, that's what makes spring so good, doesn't it? It's the real estate season. We are in our season.
Correct.
You've got the Melbourne Cup, you've got the grand final, you've got the sun starting to shine. It's the best time of year. It's trade season for real estate, for property, Philip. And, there's a lot to be excited about.
It's the season of winners, which is the perfect segue, viewers, to talk to you about our success rate across the industry. Now, massive weekend in Melbourne, massive weekend in Australia. Now,
well, there's a reason for it, Phil, because in Melbourne particularly, us, like most agents, do not auction on the holy day of the grand final.
Correct.
Or that weekend.
So my point to all of this is
Yes.
it was a massive weekend in Melbourne, massive weekend in Australia. Having said that, the market in Melbourne, well, they passed. They got a pass. And keeping in mind, a pass is 50%. But one of the worst clearance rates for the year. The industry came in at 58%. Now, I know what you're thinking, viewers. You're thinking, well, if the industry got 58%, Gary Peer and Associates probably got 68%.
65,
well,
yeah.
we didn't. We didn't get 68 or 69.
No.
Neither did we get 78 or 79. We came in not at 88, but at an 89% clearance. Now, to put that in context, we're not talking from 3 or 4 auctions, Gary. We are talking from 35 auctions. We sold 31 out of 35. I think that's 4 or 5 weeks in a row, Gary, where we've had a plus 80% clearance.
Let's put up the towers, Philip, because we need to have that. We need
Throw
to have the
some
Bose music.
footballs at those towers,
we can
put
throw
some
foot in
race
there,
horses on
some
top with
horses,
some confetti.
Exactly, some dancing girls just
Correct,
for fun.
correct,
And men.
and some dancing
Yes,
boys
of course.
and some
But it's
dancing
funny,
people.
It's funny, I met somebody on the weekend who you know well, a developer. His name's Daniel. And we spoke about real estate and we spoke about clearance rates. And he said, what's the clearance rate like at the moment? And I said, well,
depends who you ask.
and he said, you've got a really high clearance rate, haven't you?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And he said, what you should do, he said, is you should actually put out information where it's your clearance rate compared to the industry.
Yes.
And I said, mate, like, have you ever heard GPTV? Like, we do it every week.
Episode number 600.
Exactly. So I'm going to send this to Daniel.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, Daniel, you've got to watch at least the first 5 minutes. Then you can switch off and watch something better.
We're 10 minutes in already.
Okay, well, from 5 to 10 minute mark. And at least you can actually see that we are doing exactly what you said.
Yeah.
So thank you. Join the club. Thank you for joining the party.
Shout out firstly to our sellers, to our buyers, and our incredible sales team who really do work above and beyond. And there is no question that the only reason that you can get these exceptional clearance rates week after week is our systems, our processes, and our people genuinely, I think, outwork just about any other real estate agency.
I think that's the key. Yeah, I think they do work hard, and we've got someone that's joined us recently from another company, and a very respectful company. Got nothing to say ill of the firm,
of course, not publicly.
Yeah, but anyway, but the reality is that he just can't believe that it's you come to our office at 6 o'clock on a Monday night. Let me tell you,
7 o'clock on a Monday night.
It
Lights
is
are
peak,
on,
and everyone's home, right? The reality is it's peak hour. There's shuffling, there's calls, there's people, there's deals happening, there's stuff going on.
There's shouting, there's screaming, there's congratulations.
Exactly right.
There's a bit more
Bells
screaming.
ringing, there's more screaming than there is shouting. But I said to him, tell me, what was it like where you worked at 6
that
o'clock
other company
on a Monday? And he said crickets. You could hear crickets. Right?
Yeah.
There's silence, nothing, and that's part of the difference, Phil. That's the reality. Hard work is one of the keys to results.
One of the things that I have always said, Gary, and I still continue to say this, is that we might not be the 2 brightest blokes around.
No, we aren't. It's not we might not be.
We aren't.
No.
But it's pretty hard to outwork us.
That's true. That's true.
And you know what?
Age hasn't made us weary. And
goes back, Gary. You were in your sub 10. You were already working in a milk bar.
I was.
Sub 10. I was already drenching sheep in 40 degrees in a dust storm.
Yep.
So we were exploited by our parents as children.
Yes, very much so.
Because we had to bring home some bacon as well. Although in our particular circumstances, not so much bacon. But the reality is, we were born to work.
We were born to work.
Tragic as that might tragic.
Born to work.
Tragic as that might sound.
Baby, we were born to work. That's true. We were put to work early and it didn't hurt us, Phil, that's for sure. And I don't know how, but we're still people talk about retirement and slowing down and all that. And I said to someone the other day, we're just getting started. And that's true.
Somebody said to me the other day, oh, Philip, you got to have an exit strategy because this generation, the millennials, the Gennials, the Zennials, whatever they happen to be called, they've got to have an exit strategy from everything they do.
Yeah,
and there's lovely people said, oh, so Philip, what's your exit strategy? And I looked at them and said, death.
Exactly right. How did I know you're going to say that? Non-rehearsed show, that's for sure. I know that. Exactly right. We're not going anywhere while we're standing and breathing, and it's all good. Happy birthday, by the way, to my daughter for tomorrow. She's going to be...
Happy birthday. How
I won't say.
old
No, I'm not going to
is
say.
Nina's
You don't say age, Phil, but she's going to be...
She's under 30 and over
under
20.
30, and it's on the 25th, and that might have some relationship to her age, I'm just saying.
Really?
But there you go.
I remember when she was just a tiny little... pumpkin.
Yeah, indeed. Let's get on with the show, Phil. Talk a bit about real estate because we're getting way away, getting very indulgent with our history and our family and everything else. And people don't really care.
This is a show about what's going on in the market, not what has happened in our trivial, sad, pathetic
Yeah, exactly
lives.
right. Exactly right. Let's talk about twilight auctions, Phil, because
Twilight-
we
I
love a
twilight
twilight auction.
auction.
We both love a twilight auction, and the reality is that they are so successful, aren't they? And we
are.
talked about in our sales meeting yesterday. We said, talk about twilight auction, and you've sold
Sold
your
my own
property
home.
by twilight auction.
Tuesday
Nikki
evening.
Janover sold her home
Janover.
by twilight auction.
Yep.
I've sold a property by twilight auction.
Yep.
So Leon sold his property.
Yep.
We had another former director, sold by twilight auction.
Money,
so we are
money where
believers.
our mouth is. And on that, Gary,
Yes.
I did 2 Thursday night twilight auctions last week.
Yeah,
one
you
in Bilson Avenue in
Brighton East.
Brighton, and one in Leopold Street in Caulfield
You
South.
did.
Right?
3 bidders at each, Phil.
And plenty of people at each.
Yep.
So
And 3 bidders at each.
And if you think about this, if you're auctioning on a Thursday night,
Yep.
you're probably one of a couple of auctions, or maybe one of only one.
Yep.
If you're auctioning on a Saturday, you're one of 1,000 auctions.
Yep.
So keep in mind, do you think if a buyer's inspected your property and has decided that's the one, do you think they actually look at their calendar and watch and go, oh, Thursday night, never buy a house on Thursday
No,
night?
exactly right. I've got the Bulleye Trots on Thursday night, or I've got my bridge game, or whatever else it could
Which
be.
trots?
Bulleye.
Bulleye.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah,
Of course there
Bulleye,
is.
yeah. It's just
Where
straight,
is Bulleye?
straight after the Dapto dogs, Phil.
Where is Bulleye?
And the Manduro greyhounds as well. We love those meetings. There's winners to be found in those meetings. Don't worry about that. They're full of winners,
Good.
When I get the race book, Phil, on a Saturday, there's a winner in every race.
Clearly, viewers, the one thing that you would have deduced by this point in GPTV, on the assumption that you're still watching, of course, is that there are no auctions this weekend because of the grand final weekend. So this episode is what we call the episode about nothing.
It's a nonsense episode, really. There's nothing happening
This
here.
is the Seinfeld episode.
That's right, there's nothing happening
The
here.
show about nothing.
Yeah, Phil, can we talk a little bit about those auctions? Because they
ones
both,
that we had?
Yeah, Bilson
Yep,
Street was
lovely.
sold well above its range. It was 8 to 880 and sold above that.
Pouring with rain on Thursday night. We had both auctions inside. You can get a lot of people into a small property, Gary. So the reality is Bilson Street went really well. Shout out to the vendors, lovely family that we know very well. And thank you for the opportunity there.
And we had another auction, was mentioned in Leopold Street, but we
Yes.
had another that got sold before auction.
Correct. So we would have had 3.
3 out of 3. Phil, Saturday morning, I had great delight in going down to Chapel Street, St Kilda. Love it down Chapel Street. It's funny, you can get a feel for a crowd the second you start your auction. And, people were smiling and they're happy. And I don't know if they were all on drugs, because sometimes you can get a crowd of people that come straight from the nightclub on a Saturday morning. They just come down from Chapel Street, because it's in Chapel Street. So they might come down from Revolver and they're still having a good time. I don't think so, though, Philip. It wasn't that sort of auction. Just happy people, happy to be there, a happy property. Vanessa McGlynn did a great job. Thank you to those vendors who we've done a few things with already. But, Phil, that was sold above its range, 6 to 660 with its range.
Yes.
So congratulations to the buyer and the sellers alike, Philip, because I had some fun there with Vanessa McGlynn. I want to talk about a property that hasn't yet sold, that should get sold and should be sold, Phil, because it's going to be somewhere in that low to mid 7s. That's 2 at 14 Orong Road, Elstonwick. This is a beautiful older style apartment.
What a great spot, too.
Sometimes you walk away from an auction, you think,
Puzzled.
how the hell did that not have a queue of
Yep.
people? And it, sometimes just hasn't found its mark in the market yet. But this is a great apartment, high quality apartment. You've got views. You can actually see the bay right in the distance there, Phil. But beautiful flowing floor plan, old style, small block, lock-up garage, lovely
All of the
communal
things
garden.
that you'd love to have.
So if you're in the market for a fantastic, fabulous first floor, older style apartment in a small boutique block,
That's the one.
Call Arlene, call Daniel, and get down to 2 at 14 Orong Road, which has not yet sold.
Hurry.
Hurry now, hurry. Phil, Lily Mill Road, Ormond, congratulations to our vendor who's situated in Sydney. We had a good competition there.
Building that too. That was built, by the way, by one of our clients.
Yes, it was.
And really good development,
Stood the test of time.
And let me tell you, Lillimore hits North Road, and that group of shops on North Road.
That's becoming funky, isn't it?
That is, I'm telling you now, that is a go-to strip. You've got the train station.
Macca's.
Big,
Got Macca's,
Or
got
you've got
McDonald's.
Macca's and KFC.
And KFC. I mean, not many corners you get both.
Correct, but ultimately that is a good strip and a great. That's a draw card. That strip now for people buying in that area.
It's going to develop further too, because there's big plans for apartments over the
Which
railway
is
line.
exactly the place you should have railway.
Exactly right.
Exactly the place you should have apartment buildings.
Yes.
So for all of those people that say save our suburbs, if you want your children, if you want your grandchildren, if you want your friends and family to live close by, you do have to give up some level of amenity. And really building a 10-storey building above a train station would have to be the most sensible place for it. If, of course, you want to share your wonderful suburb with others.
Exactly right. And the project there's slated to be done by Deal Corporation, who are amazing.
The interesting thing, Gary, about change is that the human condition is one that objects to change. But when change is forced upon people and it is then the status quo, people adapt to the change really quickly. They don't adapt to the thought of change, but when change is there, they adapt very quickly.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't like change, Phil. So
I know you don't.
Yeah, I'm a person of consistency, and I'm not really into change.
But and that's why
you keep
I
taking
have
me
been
there.
such a benefit to this relationship,
Yes,
where I
exactly
have forced change upon you, and I think you're a classic example of a person that doesn't like change, but when change is thrust upon you, you adapt quickly.
And happily.
Yeah.
After the event.
Move on,
But
Gary,
we'll kick
please.
and scream on the way
Correct,
through.
correct.
Phil, there was a sale that you were part of in Weber Street in Brighton East. Again,
Shout
sold well above its range.
Shout out to Mark and Abby that handled that property. And shout out to the loveliest family. A number of generations was selling that home. Lovely owner, lovely. Everyone involved in that transaction was lovely. And it was a beautiful home. Did sell well over the range, as it should, because it was a beautiful home.
You're the most explosive auction
My
of
goodness.
Saturday. No, I'm not going to get to the one on Sunday. You're
Okay.
thinking of that one. I'm talking about 245 Tucker Road, handled by Jan Dosen together with Leon Guzenfitter. What an auction that was, Phil.
Wow is all I can say. Wow.
Expected to be in the high ones and
first
just
of all,
kept going.
So I arrive at this property in Tucker Road, Gary. Now, Tucker Road is, look, it's a main road.
Yeah,
but
it's not a main road.
Yeah, it's not Dandenong Road or North Road, but it is a main road. I arrive at this property and it's got a bus stop in front of it.
Bus stop? Did you do the dance, the bus stop?
Main
Bus
road
stop.
with a bus stop right out the
ready?
front. Those are not two quick ticks, right? But I arrive and instantly I see this beautifully renovated 1950s house. So from the street, you already know somebody's taken great care here. I arrive at the property, I go inside, and every single room has got this magic feel to it.
Isn't that great?
The owners, shout out to the owners, because they improved this house in such a sensible, subtle way that you could not help but like it.
And
anyway,
some homes have got that. They've just got that factor, haven't
They've
they?
got that kind of feel-good wow factor without being over the top or anything there that's in extravaganza. This was just a house that you felt good in. Anyway, massive crowd inside. I don't know, 5 or 6 bidders there.
7
Gary.
bidders, Phil.
7 bidders.
No less than.
Sold it so far over the range that it's reset values in that area.
Well, we are record makers and record breakers,
Yep.
Phil.
Yep.
That's what we do. Phil, Dickens Street, Elwood was your last auction on a busy Saturday.
Shout out to the owners of that property who are great supporters of the company.
They are.
And
Thank you.
really, really decent people. Really like the couple that sold this property.
Sorry, I couldn't be there.
Yeah, no,
Had
but it
another
went
auction.
very well, Gary. We held the auction upstairs. I reckon there were 60 or 70 people in the apartment. I think we had 4 people bidding for that. And it went really well, as it should. Those 1960s and 1970s buildings, they're extra large, they're really well built. And this one looked out over the beautiful Blessington Street Gardens.
We thought we might run into the 8s, Phil, but we didn't know we'd get into the 9s.
No.
9.15 was the
Great
selling price
result.
on that.
Great result.
So well done. Phil, 107 Orong Road, Elstonwick, another good result there. Mark Kirkham has been a very busy man. Well done to him on
It's
a good
big
weekend.
month
You
this
sold.
month of September.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about 47 Lumia Road, Philip. There's a number of things to talk about. Firstly, a beautiful sale for the family, a beautiful family, been there for a long time.
Yes.
Always interesting when a home's been same family for decades, and this was
says
maybe
something
50,
good about the property,
could have been
doesn't it?
50 years or more, but this has been the same family for decades. But you know, when you had the friends of the late vendors, who were very special, lovely people, when you have their friends come to the auction just to relive the memories of that home.
And I also heard somebody say that they were there because they actually wanted to say goodbye.
Yeah, we heard that.
Which is almost as lovely as somebody saying, "I'm here to buy it."
That's right. Yes.
So
good,
too lovely. I'm here to buy it,
Yeah.
and I'm here to say goodbye to it.
Yeah.
But if I have to balance those two, I'm going to go with I'm here to buy it every time.
Well, I actually used it at an auction the other day. It just came out.
Yeah.
I said, it looks like it's your goodbye because the vendors are going to say goodbye. And put those two things together, Philip, and I thought that was just genius, but clearly it's
I think
escaped
the way
you.
I had said that was so much more impactful and humorous.
I think you were just trying to find a way to match what I'd said earlier. But anyway, let's move on. 47 Lemire Road.
Shout out to the two sons of 47 Lemire Road, who will remain nameless, Gary, but I just want to look down the barrel of the camera and say thank you to both of them. You did entrust us with your it was a large transaction, but it was also a very emotional transaction. And I would like to think that you were very happy with the outcome, as we were, and you were delightful to work with from start to finish.
It was a prestige sale on the Golden Mile, Phil. Now, this is what I'm worried about, Phil. I'm worried about what you do at these auctions. Now, I'm going to show some footage of this because you've got to stop doing this, right? So a car comes through, a normal auctioneer would step back and let the car pass. A slightly not normal auctioneer might stand in front of the car a little bit or challenge the car, knowing full well the car will always outdo the person in a battle of bodies against each other. The car body will outdo. But then a real wacko auctioneer will go and sit on the car. And here's some footage of you sitting on the car. You've done that before to a fellow by the name of Peter, who had a little bit of a Boeing in his hood and sent us the bill for that, Philip.
I dodged a bullet with Peter.
Yeah, you did. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, thank you for forgiving us. Although I've opened a wound, he might be watching again.
Thank you to the Porsche driver who perhaps not sensibly stopped and allowed me to sit on that.
Yes.
And I must say, if I was single, Gary, that photo would become my Tinder profile.
Is that right?
Yeah,
that's scary.
Every man looks better in or on a Porsche.
Well, what's scary, Philip, is all of the car owners in Caulfield now, there's a special box on your insurance form.
Yeah.
All the insurance premiums are going up because they all factor in that you might be sitting on the bottom
One
of
the
the car.
question is, do you ever drive through the middle of an auction where Philip Kingston is?
If so, then you've got to add to the premium goes right up. Anyway, well done to the buyer and seller alike on that fantastic experience. And it's always an emotional experience when you sell a property that's been with someone for so long in the family. 6 Victoria Avenue, Ripon Lee, Philip.
That is also a buy. That's a screaming buy.
A screaming buy. Can we get some scream?
Yeah, something from Halloween. Perhaps.
A loud scream.
That is a great property. Viewers, it's on over 400 square metres of land. It's completely livable and lovable as it is, but it's just waiting for somebody to maybe think about what they might do in the future. Jump on that one before it goes.
1395 represents a great opportunity for
Terrific
that home.
opportunity.
I love that home. It's got a beautiful feel to it. Phil, I had an auction at the weekend, which some people would say, what do you do with an auction when nobody turns up? Right? Like, what do you do? And, we know of other auctioneers that have cancelled the auction and whatever. And, when you do the whole little sing and dance show and there's no one there, it's a little bit odd and awkward.
Yes.
I'm in the lounge room. There is 2 agents. There is 2 gentlemen and there's 1 person there who's a neighbour, right? And there was 1 other guy in the hallway. So suffice to say, it was a very intimate auction.
Yes.
And the vendors were like, are we going to even have the auction? And these are all home truths that you won't hear anywhere else but GPTV. We'll tell you what it's like.
Tell you the facts.
Anyway, so I've
or at least embellish them slightly.
No, well, not even, if anything. No, that's right out there, Phil. Anyway, I said, no, we're going to hold the auction. And Daniel and Romy said, that fella is interested. So I held the auction, stood there. It was a little bit of an unusual, lonely experience. We could have just sat around the table. Anyway, the person bid, and lo and behold, well done to them. They bought that great apartment for $485,000, pretty much in the middle of its range. That was 10 at 5 Lansdowne Road. So congratulations to the buyer and the seller alike. Another emotional sale. Been in the same family for decades.
I'm a bit tired now, Gary. Are we wrapping this up?
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up.
Are we going to wrap it up, but talk about Marara Road?
Well, we haven't talked about that one, have we, Philip?
Okay,
and we should, because you're tired because of that auction.
There's no question. Marara Road. Now, I get to this property in Marara Road. It's my last auction on the Sunday.
It is.
It's a 2:30 auction.
It is.
I said I'm going to be home by 3:30 because I knew it was going to sell.
Yes.
2:30, 3 o'clock, we sell it. I'm out of there. I did not leave there, Gary, until 5 minutes to 4 o'clock. So
did you stay around for a drink? Or
No. This one, we're not going to declare the final price. But I'm going to say this, viewers. We put it on the market, the top end of our range, and it went on and on and on and on and on and on and on it went. Suffice to say, I can't remember how many bids, but we are going to overlay a little sign now telling you how many bids there were. That was the most phenomenal result. We had, I don't know, 4 people bidding for it, 2 really for the last couple of $100,000, unfortunately, bidding in $1,000 and $2,000 rises.
Well, Simon Radonic rang in sick on Monday after that auction, so I think it wore him out as well because he was involved in that sale, and well done to you, Simon. But unbelievable auction, and I'm sorry I had another auction on myself.
I want a big round of applause, guys, for this fantastic... Not yet, sir. You're a premature clapper, aren't you? All finished. All silent. All done. Definitely out. Going. Sold, ladies and gentlemen. Please congratulate the new owner, and thank you for attending another Gary Peer and Associates auction. Thank you.
So you had that many people, and I had 5 in a room. You had like 200.
If you came to that auction, viewers, you would swear that there is a real estate boom on.
Yes.
But one thing I will say, Gary, it was a really good home. And magic does happen when you've got a really good home. It's well presented, well marketed. If everything you can tick, magic is more likely to happen. But that was a phenomenal house.
Well, that's the property type that we're finding the most difficult to assess, because we're finding that there were buyers years ago.
Buyers?
No, there were buyers years ago, and what they would say is, "Oh, I can buy the land and build. You know, like if it's not perfect, I don't need to worry about it." Now people are saying, "I don't want to buy the land and build, right? I'm too scared to go through the process. I know the costs are going to blow out. It's hard to get the permits. You've got to go to all this process, which is horrible. There's so much red tape. Builders are going broke." So if we find a home that's a 6 or 7 out of 10 in our view, we see them as 10 out of 10, but if they say they're 6 out of 10, they're
going to go hard.
We're going to go hard. We're going to go for it. We're going to bid for it. And there is a shortage of prestige. So if you want to know what's hot, prestige but somewhat dated homes, which I think is fair to say.
Yes.
They are red hot right now.
Red hot right now. Gary, can we wrap this show up? Because I'm still exhausted from the weekend.
Fair enough.
Thankfully, we've got a weekend off. Good luck if you're a Swan supporter.
I thought
Good
you had
luck
some
if
stamina.
you're a Brisbane supporter. But before we close off, let's just talk about these properties.
We've got 2 properties to review, Phil.
19 Atkinson Street, Murrumbeena. What a beautiful home. This is handled by Christian DeFreck and Leor Samuel. It's 4 fabulous bedrooms, 3 gorgeous bathrooms, a really good-looking facade. It's got a swimming pool. That's the house with absolutely everything, Gary.
A special preview property, Philip, and that's not coming up this weekend, but it is forthcoming auction, as is.
And a shout out
Elizabeth
to Rick,
Street,
who owns this house at Elizabeth Street. And Rick, given them your prowess behind a camera, Rick, if you can find a way to not only be a wonderful vendor like you're being at the moment, give us a very easy reserve price, and then syndicate this show with your talents. Rick, 26 Elizabeth Street. We love this house and we love you for entrusting us with us. Elizabeth Street is the #1 street in Elstonwick without question. To get a property in this price range in Elizabeth Street, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 1 car space. You can move straight into this house. You can further improve it as the years go by, but to be able to buy this home in Elizabeth Street is a privilege, a pleasure, and something that you will happily own for a long time.
As Dave Dobbin would say, Phil, it's a slice of heaven.
That is a wrap on GPTV. We've gone on and on and on. Rest up, Swans or Brisbane?
Swans will win.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Look, I think Swans will win,
Yeah.
but actually I think Brisbane is going to do it. There's my
How
prediction.
can you do that? How can you say you think Swans will win, but you think Brisbane will do it? What is that? Is that the most wussy political cop-out ever? Oh, I think Swans will win, but Brisbane will do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like that's like take a line in the sand. Gutless anyway. Which one? Swans or Brisbane?
Swans or Brisbane? That is the question.
No, what's the answer?
One of the two, Gary, is definitely
can't-
going to win. One of them's definitely going to win. One of them's definitely going to win.
Anyway, I reckon I'm going for the Swans. He's going to tell you next week.
collapse in front of the couch
Yeah.
while you drink beer from 9 in the mornings
Exactly
or
right.
midnight.
I've got a big day ahead.
Yeah, good.
And I'm going to see Marsha Hines afterwards, by the way. There you go. Hope to see you at the Crown. That's a big wrap on this week's edition of GPTV. I'm Gary Peer.
I'm Philip Kingston. I'm exhausted.
See you next week.